This is lesson 1 for absolute value inequalities. We've studied absolute value and we've studied inequalities. Now we're going to put the two together. So if you remember, absolute value means the distance from 0. So if we have the absolute value of x is less than 3, that means the distance from 0 has to be less than 3. So if we look at positive 3, we would put an open circle on 3 and go to 0. That would be less than 3 units. But remember, absolute value, if you take the absolute value of negative 3, it's also 3 units from 0. So the solution to this one would be x has to be more than negative 3 and less than positive 3 would be our solution. They're both 3 units from 0. Let's look if it's greater than. So x has to be more than 2 units from 0. So again, we put an open circle because it's greater than, and we're going to shade to the right. So that shows us everything that's more than 2 units from 0. But also over here, that's also more than 2 units from 0. Remember, if the line is broken, that's an or situation. So you would say x has to be less than negative 2, or x can be more than positive 2. So if you see that, if you see a less than, you know we're going to have an and situation. If you see a greater than, you know it turns out to be an or situation. So what you want to do is you want to drop the absolute value bars like we did before, and you want to do it with a positive 3 in this case. Then you want to flip the sign and do it with a negative. So let's go ahead and try that with a one-step equation. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop those absolute value bars. So we're going to have n divided by 4 is less than or equal to 3. To get rid of divide by, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. So we get n is less than or equal to 12. So remember where that's going to be a closed circle because it has this bar. And it has to be less than or equal to positive 12. We're going to do it again. This time we're going to flip the sign and we're going to make that a negative 3. So we're going to make it a greater than or equal to and make it a negative 3. Again, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. So that's going to give us n is greater than or equal to negative 12. So again, it's a less than symbol. That means it's an and situation. So it's going to be a solid segment on the line. And again, we want a closed circle on negative 12 right here. And then we're going to shade between negative 12 and positive 12. If we wanted to write that as one statement, you put n in the middle. You use 2 less than or equal to signs. You put the lower value at the bottom. That's a negative 3. Oops, I'm sorry, a negative 12. At the bottom, and you put the positive 12 at the top. All right, let's try it with a greater than symbol. Change colors here. Okay, so again, you want to drop the absolute value bars. So we have n plus 7 is greater than 3. Subtract 7 from each side. You get n is greater than negative 4. And then we'll try it again. We're going to say drop the absolute value bars, n plus 7. We're going to flip the sign. You flip the sign, and then we're going to make the 3 a negative 3. I'm going to subtract 7 from each side. That gives us n is less than negative 10. So to put those two together, x has to be more than negative 4. So we're going to put an open circle on negative 4, and more than, we're going to shade to the right. We're going to put an open circle on negative 10, and we're going to shade to the left. Remember, we knew going into this, it was going to be a broken, it was going to be an or, because it's a greater than symbol. So if you wanted to write that in one statement, you would say n has to be greater than negative 4, or n has to be less than negative 10. Okay, to sum up, what you're going to do, you drop the absolute value sign and you do it once with a less than, once with a greater than, once with a positive number, once with a negative number. And we know right away that if it's a less than, it's going to be an and situation. If it's a greater than, it's going to be an or situation. Please go to Schoology and try the practice problems. If you have any questions, give me an email. Thank you.